Let's talk about Android application architecture. So first of all, Android apps are written in the Java programming language. The Android SDK tools compile your code along with any data and resource files into an APK, or also called as an Android package, which is an archive file with an .apkx suffix. The APK file contains all the contents of an Android application and is the file that is Android powered devices use to install the app. App components are the essential building blocks of an Android app. Each component is a different point through which the system can enter your app. Not all components are actual entry points for the user, and some depend on each other, but each one exists as its own entity and plays a specific role. There are four different types of app components. Each type serves a distinct purpose and has a distinct life cycle that defines how the component is created and destroyed. The four different app components are activities. An activity represents a single screen with a user interface. For example, an email app might have one activity that shows a list of your emails, another activity to compose an email, and another activity for reading emails. Although the activities work together to form a cohesive user experience in the email app, each one is independent of the others. As such, a different app can start any one of these activities if the email app allows, that is. For example, a camera app can start the activity in the email app that composes new mail in order for the user to share a picture. Next one, services. A service is a component that runs in the background to perform some long running operations or to perform work for remote processes. A service does not provide a user interface. For example, a service might play music in the background while the user is in a different app, or it might fetch data over the network while blocking without blocking user interaction with an activity. Another component, such as an activity, can start the service and let it run or bind to it in order to interact with it. Content providers. Now, content provider manages a shared set of app data. You can store the data in a file system, a SQL database, or on the web, or any other persistent storage location your app can access. Through the content provider, other apps can query or even modify the data if the content provider allows it. For example, the Android system provides a content provider that manages the user's contact information. As such, any app with the proper permission can query part of the content provider, such as the one available contacts contract, which we'll be looking at, to read and write information about a particular person. Content providers are also useful for reading and writing data that is private to your own app and not shared. The last one is the broadcast receiver. A broadcast receiver is a component that responds to system-wide broadcast announcements. Many broadcasts originate from the system. For example, a broadcast announcing that the screen has turned off, the battery is low, or a picture was captured. Apps can also initiate broadcast. For example, to let other apps know that some data has been downloaded to the device and is available for them to use. Although broadcast receivers don't display a user interface, they may create a status bar notification to alert the user when a broadcast event occurs. More commonly, though, a broadcast receiver is just a gateway to other components and is intended to do a very minimal amount of work. For instance, it might initiate a service to perform some work based on the event. We will take talk about all these different components in more detail in future videos.